everybody. It is 11 o'clock, so I suggest we start with our webinar today. So welcome to this webinar about making GDPR compliance processes more efficient. My name is Stanley Helen, and I am the international business owner of OMNIPRIVACY and working for the Benelux affiliate. It is my pleasure to be your host today in the next coming 45 minutes. And also a very warm welcome of my colleague, Johan Vos, that will be answering your questions during the webinar. And as you would not understand my German, and we also have some English-speaking persons in the audience, but certainly my German, you will not understand it, so I'm bringing this presentation in English, but the online demo that is part of the session today will be done in the German version of OMNIPRIVACY. Before we dive into the subject, I want to explain you a little bit more, some practical guidelines about the GoToWebinar control panel that you can find on your screen. The control panel will automatically collapse after a while, but you can expand it using the orange arrow, and giving the large audience, audio is disabled by default. But and using this button, you can enable or disable a full screen. Yeah. After all, it doesn't mean that because you're muted that you cannot ask questions. Please use the questions bar in order to type the questions, and as I said, Johan Vos will answer them. And if time permits, after the webinar, we will respond to them as well. And otherwise, you will get an answer through email. Also good to know is that this session will be recorded for your review afterwards. And you can have the link by sending us an email. So, but now that's all for now. Let's start with the session. I want to present you today OMNIPRIVACY. OMNIPRIVACY is an Omnitracker application that has been built by the Benelux affiliate of OMNINET. And in fact, the aim is to help organizations to get compliant with the GDPR or DSGVO, and it makes the compliance processes around this a lot more efficient. So that's the aim. The specifications for these applications, we have gathered them with all kinds of stakeholders and experts in the privacy area. I hope you will recognize that. And with version 3.0 that is available in German now, we thought it was a good idea. It was a good moment to introduce it to you, our German customers. And why did we build this application? So in the next coming few slides, I will explain you why we did build this application and what the three typical challenges that we noticed in the market around GDPR we aim to resolve, namely the disparate, the uncontrolled and spread of information and tools in the organization, the virtual teams that data protection officers need to work with, and in the end, the reporting that is quite a burden, and it's not giving you a sufficient overview. And after that, after the typical slides, we will further elaborate and show this how we did implement this in OMNIPRIVACY by our live demo. So let's start with it. And before we dive into those slides, let's first let us first focus a little bit on GDPR or the DSGVO itself. I'm sure everybody knows about this European law that all member states need to implement, and it offers a number of instruments, as I call them, to ensure that data privacy is respected in an organization. But given the different type of profiles that are in the audience today, I'm not sure everybody in the webinar is aware of some terminology I'm going to use in the slides and in the demo. So let me explain them first. First of all, every organization needs to appoint a data privacy officer or a Datenschutzbeauftrager. And you need to have as an organization also a register of processing activities, ein Verzeichnis der Verarbeitungsaktivitäten. It means that all processes where you treat and store personal data, but you should have them documented and updated all the time. Then a number of processes for respecting the different rights of the that the persons have, the data subjects have, the Datenschutzanfrage, the privacy requests, or a process that you need to report, where you need to report data breaches, the Datenschutzverletzung. You need to have them in place. And by the way, those are time bound, so important as well. Then another terminology are the data privacy agreements, the Verarbeitungsvereinbarungen, that you need to have this kind of contracts with every supplier or third party, where you need to agree with those on what they may do, what they not may do with the data, and what they need to do in case of an incident. And the last thing I want to share with you on terminology is about specific processes or activities. More attention is required. So, and you need to do a kind of proactive assessment of the risks and the measures. And those are called the DPAs, or the Datenschutzfolgenabschätzung. Yeah. You've understand well. This all means there is an additional compliance program that is required within an organization with its own specific requirements and projects. And what is, in fact, McKinsey telling us? That is that there are 4 signs of an effective compliance program within an organization. And the first one is the quality. There needs to be quality in information that is collected and updated, but also the stakeholders need to be informed, empowered, and aligned. And then there is an alignment necessary with the risk management, the strategy, and of course the measures or controls need to be efficient. The second sign, in fact, is consistency. Consistency in how the processes are performed, in the information and the templates that is used, but as well in the way the collected information about for audits, for example. The third one is about oversight. And oversight is both on a strategic level in order to monitor effectiveness, but also on an operational level where you need to be adequately prepared for audits or assessments, and you need to dispose of KPIs that are action driven and that can give you that oversight. The last sign is efficiency in these compliance programs, where you need to check if your resources are managed well. And in fact, this efficiency is a means to achieve the 3 other signs with optimal resources and optimal costs, of course, as well. And in the next couple of slides, I will tell you how you can achieve this with our application. But before we do that, I have a small question. We have a small question for you that we would like to respond to you. So if you could simply check out on the question we have, and we will be glad if you could answer them. I'll give you a couple of seconds. In fact, as you could expect, is related to the last slide. And votes are still coming in. I'll give you another 3 seconds. Okay. Let's and I don't manage to show you the view. I don't know, it's not. Let me have a look. No, something is going wrong with the. I want to show you the result of the polls, but I can show you. Voila, there it is. I'm sorry. And here you can see that I can see here that the 70% so is more into the efficient use of resources and tools for getting that compliance program more effective. But I can see that, and there is a nice spread around the others. So thank you for participating to the poll. And let's now continue with the presentation, where I wanted to show you and to tell you about how these 4 signs you can manage them with OmniPrivacy. And the first one is an important one, and it's in fact to have quality and consistency, and to have everything in one place. In fact, one version of the truth and the latest version of it. I just want to mention though, this it is a cloud-based. We offer OmniPrivacy only cloud-based, and to offer you that version of the truth. So the idea is that we bring all the processes and all the information around communication around the GDPR compliance process together into one place. So besides all the templates and the privacy statements, for example, there you have also the data breach processes, the privacy requests in OmniPrivacy, and that way bring it all together. Where we, of course, are aware that the GDPR processes are not standing on its own. They're part of a larger business process. And so we're using the Omnitracker application that is behind. We're using it to integrate with other applications you use, and where, for example, a quality management system where your business owners already get tasks to do. Well, we can feed those tasks and into that platform, and that way synchronize the work is done in OmniPrivacy and that quality management platform. But for example, as well, and as you might expect, we have a native connector with Omnitracker available, for example, because some incidents in Omnitracker, they could trigger a breach incident to be handled in OmniPrivacy, and from there synchronize the two processes together. Yeah. And this is why we think we claim that the GDPR is implemented in a more efficient way and goes a lot faster. By the way, since the time is limited today, in the live demo that will come after this couple of slides, I will show you the processes that are read now a bit more in detail. The others can be shown on your simple request afterwards. Yeah. And in fact, on that version of the truth, every stakeholder has its own view on this truth. So we have defined roles for the data subjects, for the data privacy protection officer, more also a role for the process owners, those typical ambassadors of GDPR within the business, that GDPR delegates or ambassadors of whatever. And we have a role as well for C-level, for the board of directors. Yeah. And in order to get a bit more into detail about the main 2 roles that we have defined, we have a process owner. A process owner has access to all those instruments that the GDPR is asking to comply with, and to task management as well. And in fact, one of the basic principles of information security is to provide access to the users, to the stakeholders, only to the information they are entitled to need for doing their job. So this is why for each process owner you can set rights on the processes and on the business units of your organization. What does the data protection officer as on top of it then, besides all these roles and the fact that he sees everything, she or he has an extended dashboard. He is performing the risk management of all those risks and measures around GDPR. He has DPO notes all kinds of internal, external communication, advices that he is giving, minutes of meeting that he is doing, where decisions and conclusions are made, etc. And he can do some administration using the administration panel. Second important thing that we did elaborate on the privacy is managing the communication in an effective way. Every process that is triggered by a specific event. Yeah? And that event could be a letter or an event in another application, etc. And once this event is done, there is the process takes its pace, and during that process, all kinds of interaction, all kinds of information are coming in. It's coming in. For example, a portal request, and here in an automatic way, we have an integrated portal that feeds in all this information into the application and starts a process automatically. Second interaction could be emails, and there is an inbox in OMNIPRIVACY where you can send and receive emails, and emails are scanned and automatically linked to the process where it's about. So, and this is also an automatization that we've put in. But phone calls can come in as well, for example, and there you can take notes, you can link them to the process, and also gathered around this process. You have meetings where you have conclusions and decisions taken, and this is here as well. You can link them in a semi-automatic way or automatic way into OMNIPRIVACY to the process. And then last, there are quite some documents that are generated, that are exchanged, and here as well there is like a little document management system, but also here by easy initiating of reports. The reports have been generated, or easy use of templates. It's a lot more efficient bit to be managed in the application. And this way, this leads us to a situation where everything around the process, all the interactions, and I call that the spider in the web, is gathered around this specific process, and that's what we call the efficiency concept within OMNIPRIVACY. The third and last sign, I remember the oversight. We've worked a lot on dashboarding and reporting, and the dashboard, for example, is about we've built them around two levels. First, there is the legal part, where based on a number of KPIs, we give you an instant blink of an eye overview of the status of the GDPR compliance of your organization. And with in more detail, also a good view on how your organization is doing in the different kind of projects that are running within your organization when it matters GDPR readiness or compliance. And what is the gap that you have defined, and how are we proceeding to plan to close that gap and getting those milestones? The other level of reporting is on the operational, where we give you an overview of all the activities that are taking place. So which processes are taking most of my effort for the last 6 months, for example, and do I have enough resources available, or do we work enough? Does my privacy team works enough on the different processes, on the different incidents, versus the work that we already have done? So what is my backlog, and how is my workload evolving? The second pillar of the operational reporting is about risk control, and there we give you a good idea about all those risks that are in your organization, and there are, of course, that are popping up, that are coming up by doing all these kind of activities. So how am I dealing with these risks? How are they evolving? And where are those specific risks situated around my different processes? Before we go on, I also have another small question for you, and I will pop it up. Let me put the second question for you, and in fact that is about how you deal actually with tools and information in your organization. I'm giving you a moment to answer the question. Votes are still coming in. I'll give you another another moment. Okay, let's see. Let's close the vote and check the results. Here, what I see is that most of you, and this is a situation that we recognize a lot, is that the different existing applications and tools are used in order to cope with that. So thank you very much for giving this insight, and I will write a poll, and we can continue with the presentation now. Before diving into the demo, I just want to share with you what you can expect and some practical information about OmniPrivacy. Four things we have worked on the availability and security. It is based on an Omnitracker engine. You all know the Omnitracker engine, and its availability, its robustness. So same goes for OmniPrivacy. We have made a business decision to make it a SaaS offering only. And on security-wise, we have you can adapt the password policy yourself in order to align it with the corporate password policy, or you can use, on the other hand, the multi-factor authentication possibility. And another thing where we did not take any compromise, there is a database a different database for every customer. That meaning that the chance of one customer seeing the data from another customer is very limited. Then on user friendliness, we have worked intuitive designs, pragmatic processes that we have defined based on feedback of experts, and there's a lot of automations and reminders in there. Efficiency, through those automations, through pre-filled notification forms, for example, quick generation of reports, and that referencing I was talking about. And then the end is we offer you to stay in control by delegating tasks or complete processes, and by planning a follow-up of tasks and projects and objectives, I mean. Yeah. That's for the moment enough slideware. Let's get to the demo, and I'm not sure if you're seeing it. Indeed, here you can see the logon screen of OmniPrivacy, where I will log in as a data protection officer in the German version of an application. And first thing I would do is get to the Bedienfeld, to the control panel, and immediately see what the work is that I have to be done to me today. Before I get into the details of this control panel, you can see at the left, there is the menu of all the different processes and feature functionalities that I have available. If I would have logged in as a process owner with only the rights to work on the ROPA, so the register of processing activities, I would only see that, of course. But about this control panel, this is, for example, the result of our discussions with other data protection officers, and you get an overview of all the different processes, all the different GDPR processes, and the tasks that are ahead of me, with an indication of urgency, where you can see that I have, for example, 3 data breaches, where there are 2 becoming quite urgent. And when I click on them, I get immediately to see them. Other things that you can see on the control panel is the number of approvals, for example. In certain processes, you can request approvals, and this is an overview of the approvals I still need to do. Another thing is that email box, that inbox that we have integrated in OmniPrivacy, and where I can see I've got 4 new emails. I can consult them all through the email here, but I've got 4 new incoming emails. For example, one of them is this email, and this email is about a task that has been given to a process owner, and he has received a notification. This is the notification email, and he could have clicked on the link, but instead of that, he replied to me. He replied to me, and what has OmniPrivacy has seen that this email is related to this task, and clicking on it, I immediately get to the task. You can see here the mini process of a task that we have put in place, but I can also see that this task is related to this processing activity. And this is a good opportunity to give you an overview of how we have put together a processing activity, where you see typical this header that is very consistent throughout all processes, and where you can see, for example, here it is about a processing activity, right? The icon that you can find back here as well, you see, with some important information and an indication of the timing. And the timing here is related to the fact that I have indicated that I want a review of this processing activity by this date. So I still have 10 days to go. And for the rest, all the information that is in Article 30 on my processing activity is there. Is through the use of sections that open and close based on the status of my process, and so that is making the work of the end user more user friendly. Yeah. So besides all this information that is in Article 30, remember the efficiency concept, we gather a lot of other information as well. For example, all the risks that are related to this processing activity. Where I can open the risk. This is the initial risk, and I have the remaining risk that I have because I have assessed the risk. I've put into place, as you can see here, measures, and so the remaining risk is there, and our measures can then be followed up through the risk and control functionality. So this also, so all these risks are consultable in the processing activities, such as all different kind of DPS that we have done, or all the data requests or the data breaches where this treatment has been involved, and then as well all kind of tasks, because you can, in a very easy way, you can attribute tasks and following up through the control panel, or you can see them here. Another thing is what we gathered around are these DPO notes. DPO notes is typical minutes of meeting or advices, and all the minutes of meeting related to this processing activity, where you can find them here. The last section is communication, where you can find back all the emails that have been sent and replied around this. And another one, and that we see is used quite intensively by some of our customers, are the comments, where everybody who has access to this process can put notes into it and share comments with all the others that have access to it. The last section then is, and that is for forensics or for audits, where we log every change that you do in this specific process, yes or no. And this is conclude about my explanation about the processing activity. And when I'm getting back to my email box, I can see, for example, there is another email that has come in, and where there is a request for an advice. This is a blank. There is no request, no object yet for this. So what I will do is I will say, okay, I will initiate a new process from here. And for example, a DPO note. This is a request for advice, and automatically a process is opened, and I can put a type, for example. This is an advice. I can put a deadline on it, etc., etc., or delegate this to a specific department, etc., etc. And from there, the process is running, and you can do follow up and, for example, ask for an approval of the business unit that has asked the request, the advice, in order to be implemented, yes or no. This is one way of getting an oversight. Another way is using the dashboard. And here you get an overview of that dashboard with the different kinds of KPIs that are in there. And one of the KPIs, for example, is that the progress of GDPR. We have now as an example, but you can fully customize this yourself through the administration panel. But where, as an example, we've put into place all the different requirements that you have concerning GDPR. And I can open one, and this is, for example, a project with different sub-projects or sub-tasks or items. And for those, I can typically put in milestones. I can do tasks for it. You see there are 2 tasks. You can add documents and meetings requests of that. You can send emails, etc., etc. And you can, in fact, indicate progress on it, yes or no. Yeah. And that way, follow up on all your projects, or through a specific report, or through that dashboard indicator here. That's going up and down. Another interesting report is, for example, on activities, is this one, where we show you what has been the activity for the last 4 weeks in the different kind of GDPR processes, versus what is the work that we still have ahead of us in OmniPrivacy. Where you can see an indication of what are the open data breaches, for example, that are still open, and versus overdue, versus what are the open that are not overdue. And here you can see that versus the work that has been done by the team over the last 4 weeks, we have quite some work to do here. Then this is also why this Rückstand, this backlog, is so high and is increasing. And this way, this is a moment to share with your data privacy team a message to say, okay, we need to work on this or on that a little bit more, because we are getting behind the work. A lot of these reports can be drilled down, such as, for example, the DPS that are still open. And here you can see the list, and let's get to one of them. This is a DPA that is ongoing, and where we have done the execution. So we have done the different typical questionnaire. The questionnaire, by the way, that you can put in yourself as well in the administration panel. But here you get to see in this status of my DPA is where we are going to assess the different risks. And in the same way as for a processing activity for this DPA, you can indeed the identified risks, and you can, by means of controls, you can lower this risk. And here you get to see an overview for this specific DPA. You get to see an overview of what are the identified risks and how have we mitigated those risks with our measures. By the way, all this, when a risk is becoming high or low or ignorable, you can. This is depending on the risk appetite of your organization, of course, and this risk appetite as well. You can define it in the administration panel yourself. And for the rest, in a DPA, is all kinds of information that you need to fill in. For example, what are the processing activities that are linked to it? Here you can see there are processing activities that we have viewed before. But you can communicate as well, or you can put tasks to the organization, etc., etc. Or what you can do as well is to delegate these DPIs to a specific department within the organization. The same thing can be done with a processing activity, but you can see here it is the sales department that will do this DPI, and once they have ended this DPI and created a report, they can ask an approval from the data protection officer, and the data protection officer, he will get in his control panel or in his list with DPIs, he will see, okay, there is no approval required, I need to review it, and maybe make some changes, etc., etc. And this way, in an efficient way, do my run my processes. And let me check if I've shown you everything. A quick view on the administration panel, maybe, where you can see indeed there's all kind of things you can customize yourself, such as all the typical GDPR lists that are there, but also some basic data, such as the roles, such as the risk matrix is for your risk appetite that you can change yourself, but as well email templates. All the templates, or we do some notifications, you can change them yourself, and also define the settings for integrating your inbox can be set here as well. Another thing through the administration panel, because of course there's quite some information in Excel available or in other tools, and that you can import. We have foreseen some import templates that you can use yourself as a user in order to import, for example, all your suppliers or your customers, or import all your existing processing activities. And the last thing that you can find back in the administrator panel are the manuals. And the manuals, as you can see, they're all available in German as well, are consultable. And one of the manuals is also contains is our 7 steps methodology, where I wanted to but I will tell you more about that later on. Let me get back to the presentation, where I have 2 or 3 more slides to share with you. What I want to show you here is we have 2 versions of OMNIPRIVACY, of which I've shown you the extended version, but there is an essential version as well, where that is intended for organizations that want to have a tick in the box on GDPR. They want to start documenting their process. They want to load all of the processing activities, and they want to use the data breaching and all the DPIA and the privacy requests processes. So this is essential version is basically for getting compliant with the GDPR. And we have a start package with 4 users, including a self-service portal, for €300 a month. All future versions support included. And if you need extra users, you can add them for your wish. But once this is done, and organizations come into another maturity phase in their GDPR compliance processes, other needs pop up, such as fully monitoring on the progress and on the plans that have been made, such as delegating tasks or complete processes within the organization, so involving the virtual privacy teams, and for example as well that integration with other applications in order to make that process more efficient as well. And for those organizations, we have an extended version, and that same start package, when you advance value of pricing, ends up with €730 a month. Yeah, and then at last, for very large organizations, for larger organizations where they don't have sufficiency with the standard processes that we have a version where we can customize and we can adapt some of the automatizations of some of the processes to your needs. That is what we call the enterprise version. I've been talking at the end of my demo around this 7 steps methodology. And we have created, and it's there in the manuals, you can find it back with a checklist, for example, as well. We have elaborated a specific methodology that you can follow in order to quickly and in a consistent way fill up the OMNIPRIVACY, all information that needs to be in OMNIPRIVACY, and the way you can start using the different processes. And for each of these different steps, we have a flexible coaching package where you can call us for help, yes or no, and in that way, in a very quick and easy way, get up and running and start using OMNIPRIVACY. Yeah. And this is a bit ending my presentation, and I want to end the presentation in order to see if we have questions from the audience. And let me check then if we have questions. In the meantime, while I'm checking the questions, I want to draw your attention to the fact that if you want, you can book a small question and answer session with us, where we take your questions and we will answer them and maybe take other remarks. For doing so, you can use all the link. It will be the link will be in the follow-up email as well, or the QR code. You get to see my agenda. You just book in, following your agenda, you're booking a question session. But let me see if we have questions. There are quite some of them, but I will pick out three of them, and we will answer them the rest through email, or if you book a question and answer sessions, no problem. For example, one is, can you integrate with the contract management tool as well? So I was giving the example of the quality management tool. We can integrate, of course, contracts, DPAs that are in a part of a bigger contract. There are an addendum of a larger contract. Of course, it's not so good idea to store both of them on both places, I mean. So the integration with the contract management tools, for example, is where we synchronize the link, where we put a link to the contract management platform to find back the contract, and where we synchronize on review dates or expiration dates, etc., etc. Same thing is a bit, what about export of data out of OMNIPRIVACY? That's a good question. I didn't address that one. All our lists, all our reports, you can export them to Excel or CSV file. And using Omnitracker behind, it even can be done in an automatic way if you're using the customizable version. So, and that way, all the data that can be exported out of OMNIPRIVACY. By the way, if you want to export large amounts of data, for example, when you're leaving us, the contract is finishing, there as well, we in an easy way we provide you with all the data that is available there. The third question maybe before we end is how dependent am I from your services in order to do changes? We have done quite a lot of self-service through the administration panel, where you can indeed manage all kinds of lists, templates yourself. And so there you're self-sufficient. The most requests that we get from our customers is, or for example, to delete a specific privacy request because it was a dummy or something went wrong or whatever. So that only we can do because of consistency of data and linking. There's a lot of linking in OMNIPRIVACY, that is a lot of data that is linked. And for example, doing some more complicated imports of, for example, DPIAs. If you have DPIAs in specific structure, we can import them, but it's a bit more complicated, and there we will help you out. But most of the cases, customers they are self-sufficient with this. So other questions that you've put forward, we will answer them through email. And I want to end the presentation by asking you to stay a little bit longer with us after I've closed the session, because of course we want to learn from you as well, and therefore we have a survey with 3 questions in order to see, in order to learn for you, and we will be very thankful if you could answer them. Yeah. Here you can find our contact details of myself and of Johan, which is our delivery manager. And what you could do as well is simply contact your account manager. That will get to us, and that will be doing the linking then at that moment. So thank you very much for your participation and your attention, and I wishing you a very good reminder of the day. Goodbye.